Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Battle Stadium Singles video here on iStarly TV, part of my Road to Master series where I try to climb the online ranked Battle Stadium Singles ladder. Today we have a brand new team that I'm showing off, and we are just about at the end of the season now. We are, on October 1st, the season's rule set will change. We will be in Regulation D rules, which will allow all of the returning Pokemon from the Teal Mask. Now, again, Regulation D was awkwardly changed in the middle, where you can use the new Pokemon, like Ogerpon, etc., in Regulation D, and then Regulation E will allow, Snorlax and, the Blood Moon Ursaluna and Milotic and stuff like that. So that'll be exciting. I don't think the meta will change that much. I do think Ogerpon will make a big impact in the meta, but aside from the returning Pokemon, I don't think too many of them will make a huge impact, unfortunately, but there are a few that I definitely want to try out. So I will be making new teams starting on that day. So, I have this video today, and then I also will try to do another video before the end of the season, maybe on Friday or Saturday, hopefully if I have time. Otherwise, I will definitely make a video when the new season drops. But with that being said, here is my team for the day. I've been testing this Rain team. Now, if you remember, kind of in the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, the, Battle Stadium, there was a kind of a little strat with Floatzel and Pelipper. Basically, what you would do is set up Rain with Pelipper and then go into Floatzel, go Terra Water, and then you would use Wave Crash with your Choice Banded, Rain boosted, Terrastalize boosted, Wave Crash. You would just do massive damage to literally everything. Even Pokemon that resisted you could be absolutely one-hit KO'd by that extremely powerful move. And we have a new Pokemon here. I mean, it's not super new, it's been in the format, but Basculegion is a Pokemon that it has a slightly higher attack stat than Floatzel. So if you thought Floatzel hit hard, Basculegion hits even harder. So I just wanted to try it out. Now, I did want to try it out with Politoed as my Rain setter because I had a team in Sword and Shield that I really loved. I built it myself and it ended up being really strong, which was a Rain team with Politoed, and then it had Kingdra as the Swift Swim Sweeper. Politoed is now in the game, however, it's not legal until October, so I might end up redoing this team once the new season drops with Politoed as the Rain setter, although Pelipper does have a share of strengths that Politoed doesn't. I think they each have moves that the other doesn't, or abilities and stuff that the other doesn't, that helps them. So Pelipper's not bad for sure. So I have a slow, bulky Pelipper here with U-turn. So my thought process is maybe I live a hit from something, and then I U-turn out into Basculegion and just destroy stuff. So that's kind of the main strat, right? We go into Basculegion, we Terrastalize, we click Wave Crash, and we just destroy things. I do also have Last Respects, so that if Basculegion comes in later on after one or two of my teammates have died, Last Respects can do a lot of damage. We also have Flip Turn just in case I'm predicting a switch. It's basically like the water type U-turn. And then finally we have Aqua Jet just in case the Rain runs out and Basculegion comes in against something like Flutter Mane, so it can at least have something to do against that. From there, what I wanted to do was, because my strat is pretty obvious, I would say, like if people see Pelipper and Basculegion on my team, they're probably going to assume I'm going to have Rain. They're going to assume I'm going to lead with Pelipper and stuff like that. So I brought a few Pokemon that I thought would complement that decently well, and also Pokemon I can bring if the Rain strat doesn't work. So I have Thundurus, which is an electric type, and of course, some Pokemon that they might bring against Pelipper would be Pokemon that have electric type moves, and Thundurus has Volt Absorb. It also has its new Wild Bolt Storm move, which was introduced in Legends Arceus, and this is a 100 base power move with 80 accuracy, but it has a high chance to paralyze. And it also is 100% accurate in Rain, so that's pretty good. And then Flash Cannon, I went Terra Steel just because I thought it covers Thundurus pretty nicely. Grass Knot's there for ground types, and then Volt Switch is also pretty good. Choice Specs just hits really hard, obviously. Then we have Corviknight. I don't really need to explain too much here. This is a set I've been using. I feel like I've used this set on almost all of my teams in the past. In recent videos, I've used a lot of this Corviknight, and so it's bulky, Iron Defense, Body Press, and Power Trip. Not much more explanation needed. Then we have Tyranitar to kind of, set up the other weather. So like if we're in a stage of the game where, maybe Rain is about to run out or something, we can send in T-Tar to kind of like reset the weather in a way. And then if we can go back into Pelipper later, we can get Rain back up. it seems weird to have Tyranitar on a rain team, but Tyranitar is also good at countering some of the common Pokemon that they might want to bring in the face of Pelipper, notably something like Iron Bundle. I'm max HP, max attack, and I do survive a hit from Iron Bundle, and then I can one-hit KO with Rock Blast, Loaded Dice, or Loaded Dice boosted Rock Blast. But of course, that we still take a ton of damage from from Iron Bundle. So, you know, I think if I want to get a little smarter here, I could tweak the EVs so that I survive a lot better against Bundle. Maybe run Assault Vest or something. But then if we run Assault Vest, we don't really get the KO on Bundle because we might not hit Rock Blast multiple times. We'll only hit it like maybe twice or 3 times, and it doesn't do as much damage. But we also have Stealth Rock, we also have Dragon Tail. This Tyranitar is really just there to kind of counter some Pokemon that are good against me, and it's pretty decent in the meta. Finally, we have Ogerpon. That's the last Pokemon. Honestly, when I built this team on Showdown and tested it out, I was using a different Fluttermane build, but that was just because on Showdown currently you can't use Ogerpon for some reason. They haven't programmed it in this rule set for some reason. So I wanted to use Ogerpon from the start, but I couldn't on Showdown. So I was testing with Fluttermane, which was pretty good. And then I threw Ogerpon on the team, so I haven't really tested with it yet. But it's a good Pokemon, and this is the Ogerpon that I used in my last video with Sturdy as its ability, so it also gives me a decent edge against like strong Pokemon because I could survive any hit from them and then get off a ton of damage with my moves. So let's go ahead and try this team out. Like I said, the goal is to set up Rain and then get in Basculegion and do a ton of damage, but in situations where the opponent is going to have a lot of threats for that, we have Pokemon that can counteract it. So there's the team code if you want to try it out yourself. It's probably a lot of fun, but if you do have suggestions for how to make this team better, because I think the core of Pelipper and Basculegion is probably something to build off, or really just Rain with Basculegion is probably really good to build off of. But I know this is not the optimal way to build it, but let's brainstorm some ways, so let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the games. Game number 1, honestly my opponent's team looks pretty weak to Rain. Like the main thing I look for is if they have Pokemon that can take Wave Crash really well, and they really don't, and they don't have any counter weather, so yeah, this looks like a great matchup for the Rain. Of course I want to lead Pelipper, but they might lead with Jolteon, which means do I end up leading with the name of, I forgot what the name of my Thundurus. Do I end up leading with my Thundurus or not? Honestly, Thundurus does seem pretty good here. It's actually decent against their whole team. One Pokemon that does make me a little afraid, well, 2 Pokemon really, are the, what's that one called? The Iron Valiant and also the Chien Pao. So do I want to bring something else? Like Corviknight. Honestly, Corviknight's pretty decent against them, so I think I'm just going to bring the Rain, even though this is really kind of obvious. You know what, actually, I'm not sure about that because... Do I lead T-Tar? I'm gonna... It's just because if I bring the 3 that I was gonna bring, then I'm really weak to Jolteon, and... Actually, whatever, I'm gonna bring it. As long as their Jolteon does not have Focus Sash, then it's not really that big of a problem, because I can just get up the Rain. I can just get up the Rain, and Basculegion can outspeed it and just knock it out with Wave Crash, so... I'm gonna have to change my trainer card with the new season. I've been meaning to because they actually added a couple features with the camera now to make it a little bit better, a little bit easier to take pictures. But they lead Goldango here, and that's an interesting lead. I'm a little worried about it, even though I know that Basculegion can do a ton of damage. I'm just gonna go right for the U-turn here. I should be slower than them. They might like Trick or something, which I also don't really mind. Although I wonder... if they Trick and take my Damp Rock, if that makes it so that the Rain only lasts 5 turns. They actually Nasty Plot, which is just fine by me because once again, Basculegion is going to be able to just come in and just destroy them. So, I mean, this is what the team is meant to do, and it looks like we might be able to do it. I'm just gonna Terrasilize just to kind of ensure the KO. I kind of feel like even if they're like Terra Water, we probably still destroy them. And that U-turn again was important because it breaks a potential Sash, even though Goldango doesn't typically run Focus Sash. Alright, so we get the Terra off. And again, I just can't think of anything that Gholdengo could do here. We know they're not Choice Scarf, and even if they were, we'd be faster. Now, as far as the EVs on my Basculegion, I think I have just enough EVs to outspeed the fastest Pokemon in the meta, notably Fluttermane and Chien-Pao. They are terastallizing, so do they have a type that resists? They don't. Maybe they just don't know the power of Basculegion. Maybe they don't know that I have Swift Swim, and they don't know that I'm just about to straight up one-hit KO them. Yeah, there's no way they live that. Okay, so we get their Terra, which is great. And the thing is, at this point, no matter what they go into, I think I one-hit KO them. Right? I'm trying to think of who they have. They have Ogerpon, they have Chien-Pao. Unless it's Choice Scarf Chien-Pao. Ogerpon, Chien-Pao, Jolteon. Who else do they have? Landorus, I think they had. And none of those can survive unless they have Focus Sash or Choice Scarf. Okay, I forgot about this one, and honestly, this Pokemon does typically have a Focus Sash, I think. It's not a Pokemon you see very often, but I remember when it was kind of newer. Oh, they have Vacuum Wave, okay. Luckily, that just doesn't matter. I mean, they could still have Focus Sash, but even if they do, we're still going to knock them out with a second Wave Crash. I guess unless we take... Never mind. I was going to say, unless we take too much recoil, then the second Vacuum Wave knocks us out, but it just doesn't matter. So now we're at a point where I think... I mean... If their last Pokemon's Chien-Pao... Okay, it's Ogerpon. GG, bro. Unless they're... No, they can't be Scarf because they have the mask, right? If they're wearing the Fire Mask, that means they're holding the item that is the Fire Mask, right? Oh, they have Quick Attack. Okay, that almost got me, but... I mean, of course, my last Pokemon is Corviknight, right? So... And Corviknight... Steel types work really well on Rain teams as well because Rain weakens the power of Fire-type moves, so Corviknight could come in and just basically resist everything that Ogerpon has. And then even if Rain runs out, I could go back into Pelipper to get Rain up again and just use Pelipper to get off a ton of damage on Ogerpon until Pelipper dies and then go back into Corviknight. And yeah, so I think that was a great situation for me. I mean, that shows what the team is meant to do. These types of teams, personally, I enjoy these types of teams a lot. I think they're a lot of fun, but they are extremely volatile. If if you're relying on the Rain and the opponent has ways to disrupt it, either by setting up weather or by with Focus Sash Pokemon or just by simply having faster Pokemon, and they knock out my Basculegion, I think the biggest reason is because Pelipper's almost not really like a Pokemon. Like, it doesn't do a lot of damage, it's slow, like it doesn't really do that much. Mainly its main purpose is to set up Rain. And so, if the opponent knocks out Basculegion, it's kind of like we're down 2 Pokemon, because, again, Pelipper is not really a real threat. Pelipper would be a lot better if it had access to Scald, and the funny thing is Scald is now back in the DLC. There's a TM for it, but they've limited the number of Pokemon that can learn Scald now, so I don't believe Pelipper gets Scald anymore, which is really, really sad, because that would really help it. That would make it so that even though it's not really like a threat on its own, it could potentially burn some big threats in the meta, which would really help. So sadly, it doesn't get Scald from my knowledge, because that would really help. But anyways, that was a great game. Like, really got to show off what the team is meant to do. Let's go to game 2. And here we are for battle number 2. My opponent's team does look... They actually look decent against Rain, notably because they have Urshifu and Dragonite. So I'm not sure I want to bring the Rain core, although Rain, my Basculegion's pretty good against everything else. So if I were to bring it, I would need to be mindful of Urshifu and Dragonite. The funny thing is, I feel like I could still lead with Pelipper and then bring Basculegion in the back. And then from there, I actually think I'm going to try that. And then from there, because Pelipper's a decent lead against everything they have, even something like Sneasler. I guess with Sneasler, they could get up the Toxic Spikes. From there, my question is, I think I just bring Corviknight, because Corviknight, the 2 Pokemon I'm talking about that are going to be rough are Urshifu and Dragonite, and Corviknight's pretty good against both of those. Corviknight's great against Sneasler, it's decent against Ting-Lu, it's okay against Gholdengo, so I feel like it's better against Gholdengo and Fluttermane than everything else I have, so I think I just bring it. Ogerpon's okay against Fluttermane if I have my Sturdy intact, because I could survive a hit and probably just knock them out, but given that they have Ting-Lu, they're probably going to be able to get up their Stealth Rock, so we'll see how this goes. This is a risky one, and I think this one might show kind of like how volatile the Rain core is, because again, if it'll really test like how I play it, because I think their team looks scary against me because again they have a couple like kind of brick walls against my Rain, but if I play it right, then I can still get a win here, even though they have a team that's a little scary. So they lead Ting-Lu, which is not surprising. I'm gonna get right into Pelipper here, and Ting-Lu typically goes Terra Fairy, sometimes Terra Poison, so basically my point is like they're not going to be able to resist the Wave Crash, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. I guess they could go for, oh, they're going to Terrasilize right away. I was going to say they could go for Whirlwind here, predicting the switch into Basculegion, but that's not that bad. I don't really care about that. So they do go Terra Fairy here, I guess to resist the water type move that they're expecting me to go for, which of course I'm not going to do. Ting-Lu is scary though. I mean, I do want to emphasize that. Like, I'm going to click Wave Crash with Basculegion. It's going to do a ton of damage. I'm not sure it's going to kill them. But I think it's better than going into Corviknight here because they just have Whirlwind. So if I just start setting up Iron defenses against them, they can just Whirlwind me away. They do get up to Stealth Rock though, but they don't have a good switch in. I guess they could go into... I could Flip Turn here. This could be a situation where I get to show off Flip Turn. And Pelipper's still alive, so we could set up Rain later if we need to. Huh. Do I do that? I'm gonna Wave Crash everyone. The downside here is we're going Terra Water, so we're removing our Ghost type, which means if they go into Dragonite, they're gonna survive the Wave Crash, and then they get to follow it up with an Extreme Speed, which we will no longer be immune to. So this could have been a... Oh, well, okay, they didn't switch, so let's see how much this does. I don't think it's going to kill, but it could. Wow, yeah, it does massive, absolutely massive damage. I should also survive an Earthquake, and then we just knock them out this next turn. But they might Whirlwind, they might Ruination. I think I'm more happy. Well, honestly, our Earthquake probably would have done similar damage there. If they did not bring Dragonite, we're in a really good position, but why wouldn't they bring Dragonite, right? So this is going to be rough. If they go into Dragonite here, this is going to be really rough because Basculegion's so weak. If they did not bring Dragonite, I'm in a really good position against them because even if they go into Urshifu, I probably just one-hit KO them. All right, here's the test. I'm pretty sure they brought Dragonite. Like, why wouldn't they? Wow, it's Urshifu. Like I said, I kind of think I knock them out here, unless they're Focus Sash. If we did that much to a Ting-Lu, right? Oh, wow, okay. I mean, it still does massive damage. They're going to have Aqua Jet. And because of Stealth Rock, there's no reason for us to switch. So... Huh. Who else do they have? Sneasler, Dragonite. What do we do? I mean, we have to click Wave Crash. They're gonna have Aqua Jet though. If they don't, that's amazing. Yeah, they go Aqua Jet. So now we can go into Pelipper and probably get a knockoff or a knockout. I could go into Corviknight. Maybe I should just go into Corviknight, right? Although it seems kind of lame. I'm gonna go into Pelipper. Guess I go into Pelipper here because it's guaranteed as long as it can get a hit against Urshifu. This is kind of an interesting situation because as long as we get any move off here, their Urshifu dies. I'm gonna click Hurricane. They only have one Pokemon that resists Hurricane, whereas they have like multiple Pokemon that resist Surf. Actually, I think they only have one Pokemon at this point. Alright, well either way, let's see how much this does. They are going to lower our special attack, and we have no special attack investment. So... yeah, it does a little bit. I don't think that's enough to kill. I do believe Surf does more damage because of the Rain boost, so I'm going to click Surf now. As long as they're, okay, that's great. As long as their Urshifu doesn't have Thunder Punch. If their last Pokemon is Dragonite, I think Corviknight can win us this game. Although at the same time, if Dragonite has Dragon Dance, which is pretty likely, that could be really scary. Although, also, like, with Corviknight, if they're setting up Dragon Dances and we're setting up Iron Defenses, we are winning that fight. So let's go ahead and click Hurricane again. They're probably Choice because they switched out with the Aqua Jet. The cool thing is Pelipper does resist both of Urshifu's stab moves, so... And I don't know what Urshifu typically runs. I know it gets access to Thunder Punch, so that's great, as long as they don't freeze me. Okay, cool. Alright, so moment of truth, we gotta see who their last one is. If their last Pokemon has setup moves, I'm gonna be terrified, because they just get like a free turn to set up. But if they don't, or if it's Dragonite, we're gonna be in a good spot here. Oh, this is scary. Goldango, okay, I think I have to U-turn here. Goldango typically does run Nasty Plot, so we might just lose if they start setting up Nasty Plots. Yeah, they are. The upside here is, yeah, I don't think we're gonna beat this. I do typically struggle against Goldango because now I do have Power Trip specifically for Goldango on my Corviknight, but they have the edge here. They've already set up one. They've already set up one Nasty Plot, so they can't go for Make It Rain anymore because I resist it. I mean, they could go for it, but they're gonna have Shadow Ball, so I don't resist that. Luckily, because of my ability Mirror Armor, they cannot drop my special defense with Shadow Ball. I don't think. Oh God. Okay, well that's game. That's game. Yeah, Goldango's a tough one. Maybe I think my team should have a Pokemon that can help me take on Goldango better, because Tyranitar is okay because it has Crunch, but I mean Goldango can just Terrastalize, and I don't really take, as long as they haven't set up Nasty Plots, I don't take too much. I mean, I take a lot of damage from Make It Rain, but because of Sand, it'll boost my special defense, so I take it a little bit better. But yeah, I think in order to develop this team, because Goldango is a Pokemon that I've kind of struggled with. And I mean, if I can get up the Rain with Basculegion, Goldango kind of doesn't matter because Goldango gets absolutely annihilated by the Wave Crash. But yeah, we just weren't able to do that. So that's actually going to be the last battle for this video here. You know, I typically do 3. Sometimes I do 2 here, but yeah, unfortunately, I have to do something pretty soon, so I have to leave. Anyway, so unfortunately this is going to be the last battle, but I do want to talk about the team. And again, as far as improvements to make, because I did put some thought into this team, but I do think I could afford to put a lot more thought into it. So if you're going to run Basculegion, let's take a look at the EVs. This is something that I always do with these types of Pokemon that have like abilities that double their speed. I like to run them as bulky as possible because I kind of figure like with this amount of investment, they're faster than everything in the meta anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter. As long as they're in rain, they're gonna be faster than everything. And people don't really run weather. Like Tyranitar is not very common, Torkoal is not very common, so you're not really worried about people changing the weather. So my point here is, like, if we lead Pelipper and go into Basculegion, you're gonna be the fastest thing in the game. You're gonna be faster, well, maybe not in the game, but you're gonna be faster than pretty much the common things. Booster Energy Flutter Mane is a little bit of an issue because it will be faster than you, so that's something you need to keep in mind. But aside from that, like, you know, barring a Choice Scarf on a fast Pokemon, you will be faster than everything that's common in the meta. And then you just want to think about your threats from there, because like I said, Dragonite is rough, Water Ogerpon is rough. You know, anything that's super bulky that also resists our moves. But Dragonite isn't particularly bulky, but with multiscale, it becomes a big issue because, you know, we go for Wave Crash, we don't do much damage at all because they resist it and they have multiscale. And then we could follow it up with a second Wave Crash, but if they hit us with like an extreme speed after that first Wave Crash, they're doing a lot of damage to us and they're probably going to kill us in 2 hits. Because the thing is, Basculegion's decently bulky. It has a pretty high HP stat, but you know, I want to invest in as much attack as possible. So I guess another thing to think about is, like, if you want, you could go, instead of going max HP, if you're more worried about Pokemon like Dragonite, you could go max attack, max defense, but then that gives you a harder time against Fluttermane in particular. And Fluttermane, again, is a very common threat, and if they're running booster energy, they're going to be faster than you even in rain, so that's something that you really need to think about. And booster energy on Fluttermane is decently common, so got to think about that. If you're going to do that, you know, again, it gives you a better matchup against the physical attackers in the meta, and then you're going to want to tailor your team to help you against Fluttermane. So I think that's how you build these teams, because we're playing Battle Stadium singles, and you only bring 3 Pokemon, so if you're trying to play Rain, you have to bring 2 of them, right? So 2 out of your 3 are already decided. So your third needs to really help you against the Pokemon that would otherwise give you trouble. So that's again, that's an option. You could go max attack, max defense, so you're a lot better against physical attackers, and then you could have like a couple Pokemon on your team to really help you against those fast and strong special attackers in the metagame. Thundurus is supposed to help against like other bulkier water types. Like Thundurus in theory is pretty good against the water Ogerpon, just to do a ton of damage to it, and you know, pretty good against stuff like Dundazo to scare it away. But I don't know. You know, I think Stealth Rock is good too. We do have Tyranitar, but again, there's just so many things to consider here. So I think this team is a lot of fun, and I'm probably going to rebuild it when the new regulation drops, because I do love Politoed, and I want to try it with Politoed. Politoed, in comparison to Pelipper, has, I believe, slightly lower special attack by like 5 points, which is not too much. And then it has a good amount more, well, actually, I think it's only like 5 points more in speed. So Politoed is a little bit faster and a little bit more well-rounded on the bulk, because it has a little bit better special defense. One thing too is I keep getting their names mixed up. Politoed is a pure water type, so it only takes 2 times super effective damage from electric, whereas of course Pelipper gets destroyed by like a thunder shock from an electric type. The other thing though is that electric types are not super common, and rock types are also not extremely common either, so a lot of Pelipper's weaknesses are just not really super existent. And I thought about the two of the most common offensive threats in Urshifu and Qianpao. Pelipper like kind of is okay against them. I can take hits from them, so I don't know. There's a lot to consider here. I'm not really reaching any conclusions with what I'm saying here, but I'm just kind of throwing a bunch of ideas out. I do think Corviknight fits really well on the team. It does feel really good, but once again, I do think, honestly, I think the Thundurus, Tyranitar, and Ogerpon are the Pokemon that kind of are the most worth considering changing. And it's possible that you keep 1 or 2 of them and maybe just change 1 of them, but right now those are the Pokemon that are kind of on the chopping block and could be better things to help us out. So let me know in the comments. I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts about Rain. I don't think like I said, the Pokemon being added aren't going to change things super dramatically, although there are some that I think are going to be really fun to use, and I'm excited to use them. But my point is, like, I think that Rain is viable still. You know, we had the earlier meta where Floatzel was very good, and honestly, in a few ways, Basculegion's better. It at least hits harder. So if Floatzel was doing a ton of damage to everything, I mean, Basculegion just does more damage. So yeah, that's my Rain team for today. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to try to have a new team for you on the weekend, either Friday or Saturday. Hopefully I will have time to do that. But otherwise, again, the new season is coming out very soon, and I'm going to build with a lot of the returning Pokemon, because there are a couple, I don't want to spoil them, but there are a couple that I think actually are going to be pretty good in the meta, aside from Politoed. I actually don't think Politoed will be amazing, but I definitely want to try it because I love Rain. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I appreciate it. Please leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet videos. And again, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this team are, and particularly with Rain and everything. So also let me know in the comments what Pokemon you're most excited to use in the meta once the returning Pokemon are allowed. You could use Poochyena if you want. You could use Volbeat. Volbeat has Prankster, which could be fun. You could use Corphish. There's some options. So thank you very much, everyone. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.